That's all working. Hi, everybody. Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any content we have coming up. Obviously, we have videos going up daily, but say, we beat a team 4-0. I might put 2 videos on, for example. It doesn't happen very often, granted, but you never know. So make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss any stories. Everyone we interview, every guest, every memory, every player, they're all personal stories. I won't miss any of the content we have coming up. Lots of great guests, including today's guest. You'll know him, co-chair of Pride of Irons. It's Jim Dolan. Hi, Jim. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How is sort of lockdown treating you? How's it been not having football for so long? And it's now the plethora of games we have now.
I've got to be honest. I'm one of the few people who's really enjoying lockdown. If I'm honest, I commute into Canary Wharf usually every day. So I'm saving about 2.5 hours a day total on travel.
Yeah,
I'm not having to wear suits and dress up all the time. There's only us two here in the house. We've got a back garden, so I've realised we're in a privileged position.
Yeah,
but I've actually really enjoyed it. I'd like once this is over to do a little bit less of the commuting. As for football, I've got to be honest. I have actually enjoyed the little break.
Yeah,
not having to be stressed about West Ham for a little while. It's been nice. I mean, to be honest, since the weekend, that it's hard not to be cheerful about that. But then Villa and Bournemouth had to go and spoil it, didn't they?
Just prolonging the agony, isn't it, for West Ham? We never, we always like a bit of drama, don't we? So, if we, as I said to you before we recorded, when we used to moan about finishing 10th, it's like, what can I do with that now?
I honestly remember the frustration of the Kirbishley years and how angry, because football fans can get angry about the stupidest thing, and I was furious. But please take me back there. I could do with that this season.
Yeah, I know what you mean about lockdown. It's been nice. It's like the door shuts, it's been nice having that sort of, when it comes to the weekend, I'm a bit lazy, to be honest. And like like when it's a weekend, my wife and my daughter, we got to do something. Let's go shopping. Let's go to the seaside. And for the past 3 months, we haven't been able to do anything. So I've been literally, it's been.
That's a new perspective. That's not one I've heard before.
And you're right. The commute. I mean, I go to Farringdon every day, so. And actually, what in a weird way, it means that you might be, people have got more. Employees have got more idea about working from home and
infrastructure
and stuff. So hopefully it means that everyone has a bit of better work-life balance. I think that's the getting very sort of deep talking about it.
We're talking about it, and honestly, I think it's going to have a massive effect.
Oh yeah,
and you want to get even deeper. If you knock off the amount of corporate real estate, rent prices will go down in London. Hopefully, there'll be more residential. People will be able to afford to live closer to the wonderful Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
Anyway, football. Sorry.
Anyway, football. But yeah, I mean, this channel came out of that sort of whole sort of lockdown, in that people were missing football. I was missing football, to be honest, not other people. I was missing it, and we started it, and it's all nostalgic. So it's not really about thinking about the current team. There's hundreds of YouTube people out there talking about the current state of the team and stuff like that. We talk about nostalgia and about memories, and I think that's why people quite enjoy it. And what the first question I ask everyone, Jim, is when they come on is why West Ham? Why is West Ham your club? How did it start?
Okay, do you want to hear a really depressing story?
Yes.
I could be supporting a club right now that's fighting for Champions League, has quality players, a lovely new stadium, but instead I decided to go against every single member of my family. So all of my family support Spurs.
Yeah.
All of them. My dad, all of his brothers, my brother, my sisters, on my mum's side, all of her family, they all support Spurs. If I'm honest, I just hated football for most of my childhood, all of my childhood. My dad tried to get me into it insofar as he bought me a Spurs shirt, which then he was quite a small guy, so he ended up nicking it. Excuse me, frog in my throat.
That's how I feel when I talk about Tottenham, Jim. So
there you go, yeah, gagging. So he ended up nicking it and wearing it all the time, and because he smoked roll-ups, like the ash would drop off, and burn little holes in it. So I think that was kind of a prophecy for me to not like football. But when I was a kid, and I should really look up the year of this game so I can figure out how old I was. I was quite young. my uncle took me to White Hart Lane to watch my first ever football match. So my first match was a Spurs match, and it was against Southampton. And my uncle bought me like a little Spurs hat and a little Spurs scarf and a little Spurs like rosette thing. He bought me all of this crap. And I sat there, and I weren't really interested anyway. But I'm the oldest kid on that side of the family. So I think my uncle just thought, oh yeah, I'll take him on, be cool. I wasn't really interested anyway. Didn't like it. Didn't like the atmosphere. And Southampton smashed 3 past Spurs. So I was sort of sitting there not enjoying it. My uncle went, "Do you want to go?" And I went, "Yeah, if you don't mind." So we left, and just as we went outside, there was this massive roar as Spurs scored their only goal. So I think that was the nail in the coffin there to say, this ain't for you. This really ain't for you. See, I absolutely hate football. I wasn't a sporty kid at school at all. And then when I was in my 20s, my mates used to go and play every Saturday morning over Beckton, just having a kick about, just like for a laugh. And I got dragged along, basically because my flatmate couldn't drive. So that's the only reason I went. I was shit. I was absolutely shit. I was embarrassingly bad. In fact, one time when I was in defence, a guy took a shot at goal, whacked it so hard, smashed me straight in the face, and I went blind in one eye for a week. I was appalling. They actually burst all the blood vessels in my eye, and my pupil was full of blood, so I couldn't see. So it was appalling. But we went on the FA Cup run, where we ended up at the Millennium Stadium playing the final against Liverpool. And during this time, we were playing football in the morning, and then going back to my mate's house in Beckton and watching the games. And I just got sucked into it. I'd always hated football, everything about it. But just watching my mates, just the excitement, and they weren't, the thing that I'd always in my mind associate with football was kind of like aggression. Aggro, but they weren't aggressive. They were excited. They were upbeat. They were screaming at the telly, but it was all like enthusiasm rather than like being aggro. And also, the little I did know about football was that I knew West Ham weren't very good. So I was like, okay, so this is kind of the underdog here doing well. I can get behind this. And essentially, I just got caught up in the whirlwind of the whole thing. And the fact that, my mates were quite honest with me. They're like, oh yeah, this player is not particularly good, but he works really hard for us. And I was like, yeah, this sounds wicked. So my mate's mum actually worked at West Ham at the time in the ticket office, and she had sort of like friends and family allocation for the semi-final. And he said, oh, who wants to go? And I said, oh, I want to go. And he got the tickets, and he said, oh yeah, so-and-so, Brett, I've got yours, Rob, I've got yours. And I was like, what about mine? And he went, oh, you're serious? I thought you were taking the piss. It's like, come on, mate, what the fuck? So I didn't get to go. Obviously, we made it to the final, and I was like, right, I want a ticket. I'm making it very clear now. I want a ticket. So my first ever West Ham game was the FA Cup final.
Fucking hell.
Which was just amazing. And obviously that really long train journey to Cardiff, just the pure drama of the game. Watching that Konchesky cross that just somehow turned into a shot, and we were behind the goal, so you just saw the net just cushion out of the side, and everyone just went mental. And after, and I think the thing that really sealed my love for West Ham or wanting to carry on going was afterwards walking back to the station. Despite the fact we'd lost, there was a lot of honour in that defeat, and there was a lot of upbeat West Ham fans. And there was actually more miserable faces on Liverpool fans, and maybe it's just because they had to make their way home or whatever, or maybe because they were nearly, turned over by little old West Ham. But there was something about that just sealed it in me. And the next season, I went to as many games as I could, and then the following season, that was my first season. I had a season ticket, and I have done ever since.
Oh wow, that ain't a bad first game. Most people get, I don't know, like kids.
I mean, I've not seen one that good since.
No, exactly. Yeah, most people get, Notts County in the third round of the Rumbelows Cup or whatever. But yeah, the FA Cup final, and as you said, and I totally, that was the weirdest game because you left, and as you said, it was almost like every Liverpool fan you saw walking back was like, you should have won that, and it was like, yeah, we should have. It was like, we interviewed like Shaka the other day. And Shaka was talking about that 2006 FA Cup finals, thinking, he's like, should have won it. And he was like, he's adamant we should have still won it, and we should have. But it's the West Ham way, isn't it, Jim? as you know, that's what we do.
It is,
We rise so high.
I'd like to go that game. Yeah, right, so high. I don't know how high we've risen. No, but the other thing, just quickly about that game that I liked, is before the game, we were out drinking in a bar with Liverpool fans, and the camaraderie between them, but also with us, it was that again that kind of football thing, old football fans are aggro and all the rest of it. I think that really changed my mind in that regard, because all the fans were mixing and there was just a lot of sort of mutual respect going around the place, which I really liked.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I preferred Cardiff as a destination for finals. I think Wembley's great for being Wembley, but there's nothing round there, is there? You have to jump on like Liverpool Street and then go back to Stratford, and where you said it was a 2.5 hour drive to Cardiff. At the bridge, it was all the cars with all the ribbons, all the West Ham lot, and like the way they just divided the city in half. This was West Ham's bit, this was Liverpool's bit, and there was like loads of bars. It was just a different. I just found it more
like
of
a festival, like a carnival,
totally. And I just think you lose that. And obviously, Wembley's Wembley, but it's some people draw parallels to obviously Upton Park's London Stadium in that, because you've got the sort of London Stadium, the Upton Park was in the middle of everything, weren't it? Whereas London Stadium, it's also out a little bit, a bit like Wembley, where it's out in this very corporate Wembley way. There's nothing there. I used to love Cardiff, and I thought it was great fun. I had the same car park space 3 years in a row. Because we were there 3 years in a row, exactly the same car park space, and we only won once, so that's not too bad. That's not bad for West Ham. So obviously since then, Jim, obviously you've been seen to get hold ever since. Obviously doing all the stuff for Pride of Irons and stuff. Any sort of highlights that sort of sort of come to mind when you think about your West Ham fan career so far? Anything exciting that might be a bit different than other people?
I guess for me, I mean, this is the part where I said to you before, I'm not sure how many people want to hear what I have to say, because it's very niche. But for me, seeing the way football has changed, in regards to stuff like LGBT rights, but also looking at the Black Lives Matters movement now, totally. I think football is often slow to reflect the changes we see in society, and it feels like we're entering a time where it's catching up, or maybe society is going backwards. I don't know, but just from where we started as a little Twitter account off the back of an incident that I witnessed at Upton Park, into a year of kind of constantly bombarding the club with emails and stuff like that, and eventually getting in the door and speaking to them, setting the whole thing up, to where we are now. It's such a journey, but it's not just us, looking around at other clubs as well, just seeing how people are embracing diversity and stuff. I think it's a really, I don't know, it's beyond my wildest dreams to think that I started supporting West Ham off the back of hanging around with mates watching football in the afternoon after hating football for most of my life, and now this has kind of happened, and it's gained so much momentum of its own, which I'm really proud of. People tend to turn to me as, and this is people within Pride of Irons as well, on my own committee, my co-chairs. Oh, Jim, you must be so proud of this. So I am, but I'm proud of us, because I didn't do this. All I did was kind of knock the first domino, and the others have just kind of built up the momentum themselves. And it's amazing. It's the little community that we've got. Then it's not just about, I think people always think, it's about homophobia, or it's about putting rainbows up in the stadium. It's not. It's about providing support to fellow fans and saying, we're here for you. And there's a lot of stories that personal stories people have told us, how it's changed their attitude towards football. People have always loved football, who didn't want to go or didn't feel comfortable going, who have now got season tickets. It may feel like a small thing in the grand scheme of the world, but if you do little things to change people's lives in a positive way, I think I feel like I've contributed in a positive way to the world.
No, totally, it makes perfect sense. And you said even more. I mean, obviously, diversity is now. It's front and center now, isn't it? In terms of where it was almost not an afterthought, but now it's literally it's in front of everyone, Black Lives Matters and stuff like that, in terms of everything that sort of has helped bring across. No, I totally get it. And you're right. Football does always seem to be a bit slower to react than sort of the wider community. But I mean, even more so in lockdown, obviously you guys providing support to people who need it. Even if it's a message here, a Facebook message, a tweet, a little text message. It's not just obviously the Pride of Irons, but all I'm seeing all the communities, all the West Ham community stuff, and it's really, really brought everyone together in the wrong way. Obviously, it's horrible what's happened, but actually, I think it's brought us together as a community better, the West Ham community.
Definitely. And I want to give a quick shout out to my co-chair Joe. All of my committee are amazing, but Joe is absolutely fantastic, because since she's come on board, she's been getting the West Ham women supporters involved. She's been setting up Zoom meetings for our supporters who are, so all over the country, but also all over the world. Like you said, providing that little bit of extra support. So we've got our WhatsApp and all the rest of it, but she's doing like Zoom meetings like once or twice a week to give people, that little bit of FaceTime, a bit of community feel. So big shout out to Joe. You're a legend, Joe. If you're watching this. Absolutely
awesome. No, of course Joe will be watching. I mean, I've seen it more than anything, because obviously before I've started this, I'll be honest, I wasn't part of any of the communities. I kept myself to myself, to be honest, sort of working for the club for 18, 19 seasons, sort of kept myself to myself, didn't really integrate really. But since lockdown, doing this, it's not just from all over the world, all fans. I've got some great friends now from the last 6-7 weeks who I would never have spoken to before, and the only thing we have in common is we support West Ham. It's mental.
Misery.
I know it is. We all share the same misery, through thick and not thick and thin, through thin and very, very rarely thick. But it's true, and it's funny how West Ham sort of gets into your fabric, as you said. You didn't like football in 2006, just started creeping in, and now it's like you're in, and everything you do, you think. You just do the same when you're looking at work. And obviously before lockdown, and you've got a meeting at 5 o'clock, and it's for a Wednesday night game.
I had a 6 o'clock meeting the other night, so I had West Ham on my laptop, my personal laptop, whilst I was on a Zoom call with the head of strategy and change at my work. And I was I told him as well, by the way, that's just down there in the corner.
You take your glasses off, so you can't see the reflection of the TV on your glasses. That's what I always.
With Pride of Irons as well, and other bits and bobs, it starts to feel like a second job. So in a way, that 2006 was one of the biggest pivot points in my life, and I had no idea.
Yeah, no, totally. Although to be honest, I can't keep up with the football schedule at the moment. So, I'll look at my phone and there's been 3 games on, and I was like, how have they happened? I don't, it's 6 o'clock.
I kind of like it though.
I do like it. Yeah, I do look at it. We go, what game's on today? Rather than is there football on today? Who's playing today? You already know. But it's the Wednesday games we've had a lot of Wednesday games. We had last week when it was 6 o'clock. I just couldn't get my head around it. I was home by 8:30 on a Wednesday night. I walked in, my wife went, "What are you doing here? Has the game been called off?" I went, "No, 6 o'clock kickoff." I just can't comprehend with these times. And it's like yesterday, that Wolves game, not the Wolves game, the Bournemouth game at 7 o'clock kickoff. Just weird on a Sunday, but doesn't matter. Only a couple more weeks, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, don't know when. No one knows what's going to happen afterwards, but we'll see. And hopefully, we starting to get people back in September. They reckon
September 12th.
Yeah, which is good. Which is good because it is weird. I've been to some games, under 23 games at the stadium where there's been 200 people, and it's quiet. But this is weird. I quite enjoy it because I sit there on my own and no one bothers me. But it is weird, and
I like it actually. You've got the option of listening with the fake crowd.
Yeah, where do you stand on that?
Without it, I really like it. I really like hearing the players shout to each other. It's just, I think, because it's something completely new. And I'm like, well, I always wondered what they shout to each other on the pitch and how they talk to each other.
Man on. Yeah, exactly. It's so true. It's so.
What I'm impressed with, for the crowd sound stuff.
Yeah.
Whoever's doing that, well done to them, because the Olays the other day. I was like, come on, man! Who thought to put that in there? And is there some guy sitting there literally waiting for tapping on it? And I was thinking, I'm waiting for him to hold on it to go. Ole! It's impressive.
It's so
Must
true.
Be busy though.
It is. I mean, they took obviously they nicked them off FIFA, weren't it? FIFA 20, because they got all the crowd. I'm really impressed. I think it's really cool. Sometimes if it's a second delay, I find it quite funny as well, because it's like the ball's gone and it's like it just catches itself up. But I miss it when I go back to the stadium.
Where do you stand?
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
So when I'm back at the stadium, so like on Friday when I'm back there, I have to switch on Sky Sports because I need that crowd noise now. I don't like it, and they're on my own. It's like,
where do you stand on the game? Obviously, the game of the weekend, Norwich, when the final whistle went, and the sound engineer had obviously started pressing the boo button because there are loads of booing sound. I thought that was a bit. Oh, come on, man! There's no one there. You don't need to put the boo in.
Don't to boo them. Well, I know. It's yeah, I think. Well, it's fair enough. I mean, it's like. I mean, the trouble is, it's the same as if I was losing 4-0 on a FIFA game at home, I'd be booed off the pitch by the AI on there. But no, yeah, it's weird. But it's weird. I mean, we have to do goal music and stuff as well. So at the moment, which I've always been a purist against goal music.
Very Reading, isn't it?
Yeah, but we kind of like it because I just think it gives something. But it's always the trouble is now with VAR, you play the goal. So the first time I played the goal music was when Souček scored the goal against Chelsea, and then it was chalked off. It's like, well, that's fucking worth it, isn't it? It's like it's been disallowed, but is what it is. We'll get there. We'll get through it. 3 more to go, and we'll see what happens. Right, Jim. Let's talk about this 11, the Hammers 11. That's the whole point of the bloody channel.
Okay.
So the idea is we pick. It's your 11. You can pick whoever you want. Doesn't as long as they played for West Ham, obviously. That'd be a bit weird if you didn't. But the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play. Now, for you, obviously, probably from about 2006 onwards, it's probably your fan career, so to speak. But that is Coolio, right? So we'll try and keep it to a 4-4-2 as well, just because actually you can do whatever you want now. To be honest, I'm getting quite soft in my old age, to be honest now. So if we go for goalie, who is in goal for the Jim 11?
Okay, right. So my team is, I'm calling it the gave a shit 11. Right. So I'm not going by skill or flair or speed or none of that shit. Right. Who cared? That's kind of what I'm going with. Okay. So in goal then, in the give a shit 11, obviously for me it's Adrian. Now I did think about Green for quite a while, but I think he's very calm and composed and doesn't show it a lot. I think Adrian showed how much he gave a shit.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So obviously there's the iconic taking off the gloves, which I think, regardless of anything else, that secures him in a Hall of Fame somewhere.
Yeah,
right. That was just absolutely brilliant. But you could always see like it's like the fiery Spanish, passion or whatever. But he always seemed to care. But what I liked about him as well was as an individual, sort of. When he was calm, he was very calm. He was very sort of softly spoken. He did a lot of stuff with like Any Old Irons and things like that. He's obviously a very nice guy, but he's got that absolute fire in him. And during a game, you could always see it, but there's a few times where it properly came out. Like I remember there was a collision with Mario Balotelli, and he ended up, I think, Balotelli kind of collapsed on him, if I remember correctly, and he basically kind of flipped him, and he had him pinned down, and he was right in his face. And I remember from that moment thinking, right, because I thought at that point he was this really nice, calm guy. I was like, he's a hard bastard.
Yeah,
but he could flip. Like, I don't think he would very often, but if he needed to, he could switch.
He'd go. Yeah, he'd go. And I know exactly what you mean. It's that, as you said, it's that fiery sort of Mediterranean temper, isn't it? It's like he seems and then he'll go off on one and it'll go crazy. And he loved the dive, didn't he? He'd love the camera dive, didn't he? Sometimes of Adrian. But
it was such a great character though. Like, he didn't just, it wasn't just because he gave a shit. That was obviously the theme of mine, but he had a thing with the fans. I think he had that connection.
Yes,
that it's just undeniable. He actually cared that he played for the club, and since then, I did one of the things at the Players Project earlier in the year, and he did like a video message back to the NL Lions to say like, "Oh, I haven't forgotten about you. I used to love coming to see you guys, hanging out with you." And I'm like, that to me just showed that he really, there's something special about him.
Yeah. And I agree. That's a great shout. Yeah, Adrian is in. Let's go left back. Jim, who have we got left back?
I've gone with George McCartney.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Again, I think he cared. And it's not the same kind of fiery temper or anything like that, but I just think he was a player who just gave his all. And I think when he left, it was one of those ones, we've seen it over the years enough times when players left West Ham at the wrong time. I think his wife wanted to leave, didn't she? She wanted to go back to Sunderland, I believe. Something is the rumour. But yeah, I feel like it was a bittersweet goodbye. Well, it wasn't sweet at all, actually. No, it was just bitter. It was a bitter goodbye. I think players who knuckle down, and they might not be the sort of eye-catching players. They might not be, you fancy Dan's, but just ones who knuckle down and do a good job and work hard. And I always think, when there's a player who leaves like that and then comes back, and sometimes it's the second time you see a player come back and you see actually how much they cared about the club, players who wanted to return. To me, he just seemed like he wanted to be there and to put a shift in.
I never seemed to. I mean, when people talk about George McCartney, I never remember him making a mistake. He probably did, but it wasn't glaringly obvious. Some players you think about him, oh yeah, I remember against Fulham where he back passed and I didn't get that. I don't get it with George McCartney. I can't remember anything he did that was wrong. And he just seemed solid. Solid and cared. That's
exactly.
That's what you want. Right, okay, we'll put George in. Let's go right back, Jim. Let's go to the other side.
Lucas Neal.
Come
on, Lucas Neal. Again, just think great player. I think there was just something assured about him.
Yeah.
He was a leader. Again, he seemed like a committed player. He seemed like he cared. I think Liverpool were after him, weren't they, when he came to us?
Yeah.
And I remember reading afterwards that Carragher had basically said, if you come to this city, I'll have your legs broken or something like that, which automatically made me like him. Just thought, well, you've done enough to really piss off James Carragher.
Yeah. Must be something in you. Yeah.
So, and it just always, again, seemed like he gave a shit. I need to stop swearing on your channel, sorry. But yeah, just a hard worker, natural leader. There's just something a bit classy about him as well, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. We had Anton on the channel, and he told a story of Lucas Neal basically saying, in the season, obviously the Great Escape season, he literally called a meeting at the ground and said to all the players, "We're upstairs now. We're going to have a meeting." They all went upstairs, and Curbs and Mervyn Day were coming in, and he went, "No, shut the door in their face." He went, "Right, players only," and literally went, "Right, we don't want to be here. If you don't want to be here, if you don't want to play, F off and get out the door now. I'll kick you out. I'll kick, go." Yeah, honestly. And that was it. And do you know what? That Anton, I got this newfound respect for Lucas Neal because he also collected sort of, I don't know, it's like a percentage of their win bonuses. He went around and took a percentage of everyone's win bonus and gave it to the groundsmen, the cleaning ladies, the kit men, because he said, look, at the end of the day, if they're doing that, if they're giving you a great surface already or pressing your kit, and they're not getting paid for it, could you imagine what they would do for you if you did give them a little bit extra money? And I was like, do you know what? You don't need enough of that. You don't need none of that. And
that's really nice. That's a really, really nice one. It's like that NASA thing, isn't it? About everyone matters, right down to the guy who empties the trash cans. Yeah. Everyone's has a place in that value chain. That's really cool. That's really cool.
And because everyone saw him as this money grabbing, because he took loads of money and he, fair play but actually he was a proper captain. And I didn't think of him in that way until Anton, and he was adamant. Anton was really adamant about talking about him like that. So I was like, fair play. All right, we'll go for it. All right, we'll put Lucas Neal in. Let's go centre backs. Then Jimmy, centre backs.
James Tompkins.
Oh yes, there's somebody who gives a shit.
There is, and one of the things I like about him is he doesn't not look like a footballer,
No.
But he also doesn't look like a footballer. He
I know
looks
what you
like he
mean.
should be. He looks like he should be a model or something. He looks like, like if you took Russell Brand and cut his hair and tidied him up a bit,
Yeah.
he could be like, a suave sort of model type. What I liked about him is that he did have this, how would you call it, a chiseled face or whatever.
Yes.
He wasn't bothered about getting stuck in at all.
Yeah.
Like he was, and obviously, homegrown. So there's always that bit of affection there for a player.
James. I mean James Thompson. Sorry, I put the wrong James in. Sorry, you said James
That's
Thompson.
all right.
Sorry, I imagine he's probably going to come up next anyway. But yeah, anyway, spoiler alert. Carry on, Tomo. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. He had this he was a good-looking lad, wasn't he? And also what I liked about him was he didn't mind filling in at right back. He played quite a few games at right back. I remember. Do you remember? It's like where we sort of didn't really have a right back, and he just kept on. I like players like that. Yeah,
but
I like players like that.
Yeah, willing to put a shift in. But I think as well, he's got a bit of the kind of Adrian thing about him, where he's very sort of unassuming generally, but when he has to, I know when he's confronted or when he has to, shout, when the players need to put a shift in, he ain't afraid to use his voice. He's not afraid to fucking get stuck in kind of thing. You can imagine him screaming. Right? His face is pure stony, and then all of a sudden you can see that come on. Pull your finger
I know what
out.
you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. And he's the same to Adrian. Obviously, when Adrian left, we were like, "Oh, it's all right. We got his. He's only a sub keeper. Don't worry. We'll get this Roberto guy, and he looks all right." Oh. And then and the same thing happened with Tomo as well, wasn't it? Tompkins went to Palace. Oh, it's all right. We got lots of centre backs. Then 2 or 3 centre backs got injured, and we're scrabbling around for a centre back. And hindsight's a great thing, but. Yeah, no,
I say that hindsight's a great thing for the club, but how many fans do you know who are like, "Oh yeah, that sale makes sense"? I don't remember anyone saying, that's a great piece of business."
No, even I mean, it wasn't. They got a cracking player for a really good deal, and
was it like 10 million or something
like that? It was 27 or something, 28 at the time, and it was. No, I really like James Tompkins, and he just said, he's an academy boy and West Ham boy, and now this is the time when you want them. You want the people who are going to fight for the badge, and he did. You know what I mean?
I gave a shit.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So who's going to be your next centre back? I wonder
James
who.
Collins.
Got it lined up. Okay, James Collins, GP.
There are many reasons why James Collins deserves to be in everyone's team. He just absolutely gave everything. Yeah. Everything. I like as well the fact that when he was another one who got sold, didn't necessarily want to go, and when he came back was clearly so happy to be back. Yeah. Like this was his club. Well, I know he's a Cardiff boy, but this is, I think this is where his heart really was.
Yeah.
But yeah, just everything about him, just an absolute warrior. Would put any part of his body on the line. He would put his bollocks in front of a ball to stop it going into the back of the net. Like just the pure heart, warrior heart. Yeah. And also, whenever you see any interviews with him, it just seems like such a nice guy.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, and you, in the same way you talked about, when players come back. I mean, I think Collins came back a far better player than when he left. He came back as more of a veteran, an old, so because he was older, and bald head. He just seemed more hard when he came back. You know what I mean?
Well, you see old clips of him, and you're like, I don't ever remember James Collins being that sort of slender, and he wasn't. Like, his shoulders were big. He wasn't very barrel chested, and he came back, and he was just like.
And I love a player who he always gives his shirt away at the end of a game. I love that. And he was like, he'd always do that, whether it was in Chav Corner or the new Chav Corner at London Stadium type thing. He'd love that. He'd go into the corner and give his shirt away. And, I love that of a player. I think, it's like, he really had an affection with the fans, and he'd go away. He'd go to away games and sit in the crowd. I mean, look at him. I mean, he was there for 9 years. Someone like Winston Reid, this is his 10th year, technically. We signed him in 2010. But it's all about personality and how you interact with the fans. You know, Collins is quite fiery, that sort of Welsh, sort of dragon attitude, and it really resonated. Where Winston Reid's more serene, and we love a fiery personality at West Ham, don't we? Someone who looks like they're gonna like just go around for a fucking brick wall for you, and he would, wouldn't he? He would. Massive fan of his. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That is a proper tough back line there. Lucas Neal was hard nut as well. Right, okay, let's go. Yeah, exactly. Right, let's go left wing. Who have we got on the left midfield, rather? Jim?
Jack Collison.
Oh yeah, nice one. I like him. I've got him lined up already because someone said him the other day. Carry on, Jack Collison. Yeah, no, yeah.
So, I mean, I think West Ham is, I suppose most clubs would say the same thing, but West Ham, we seem to have this history of, could have beens. And I think Jack's one of one of the saddest could have beens. I think, under Zola, he seemed to be, I don't know, he just seemed like such a player.
Yeah.
He seemed to, and again, he cared. He cared a lot, after his dad died and that stuff. Like, there was just awful time for him, and he just carried on. But yeah, he just seemed to have so much talent in him. I always remember laughing at the way he kind of seemed to sort of be doing an aeroplane as he'd be running. Like his arms always seemed to be kind of hanging out, didn't they? As he was like weaving out with the ball. But yeah, and again, I know he came to us when he was 16, 17 or whatever, but it's an academy lad. He came through the ranks, and he's another one who seemed like his heart was at West Ham.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot to say, but he wasn't a huge amount. His career wasn't as long as it should have been, and it's terribly sad that the injuries took it out of him.
It is, and you're right, in that sort of Zola period, he scored, even before, he scored some cracking goals. It was a solid when he played. As you said, he was one of those what could have beens, and obviously he's doing some great stuff in Atlanta at the moment, with the coaching out there, and love to see him back. He's one of those ones who's primed to come back to the club, really, isn't he?
I think the difference between him and a lot of the players I've picked is that it's not his passion wasn't like a fiery one. It was graft.
Yeah.
Like he clearly believed in hard work and like just giving everything he had. And there's a lot of respect for that. Someone who's come through the ranks and earned their place, and then it's kind of like Rice, I guess, the way Rice is now. Come through the ranks, earned their place, and is consistently good and just continues to improve.
Yeah, I don't remember Jack having a bad game.
No,
he's always going to be a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 player, and as you said, wasn't a fiery character, but he put a shift. He put a shift in every time he put the shirt on, and that's what we want. We're not in it for the football, Jim, are we? I'm not being funny. We back the wrong. You back the wrong bloody horse. If that was the case, fucking hell.
Definitely did.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Put Jack. Okay. Let's go. Other side. Let's go right midfield. Who have we got right midfield?
So I've gone for Valon Barami.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to have to type that one in as we speak. Oh yeah, big fan.
I think when he turned up with his like bleach blonde tips and all, you just think, who's this geezer? What's he playing at? But again, I think he was hard. I think it's one of those ones you don't expect to be hard. And again, maybe it's just like the pretty boy. I actually don't think he was particularly pretty. I think he looked a bit like a puppet. But like, I think he obviously cared about the way he looked. And you always think with players like that they're going to be ponces. But no, he weren't. He was a hard player. I'm sure it was Macclesfield in a cup game, and I think it was like our lowest ever attendance at Upton Park, like 10,000 or something. I'm sure it was that game. And he took an elbow to the face.
Yeah.
And there was blood everywhere. And I think he actually broke a tooth. And he stood at the edge of the pitch. So it wasn't, so I was in the chicken one, he's on my side. And he stood at the edge, got a bit of treatment, and then went back on with like half a tooth in his mouth or whatever was going on. So I just think that is commitment, and it's not even necessarily commitment to West Ham. Maybe it's just he is a committed professional, and he's like, yeah, all right, it's a bit of blood, patch me up, I'll go back on. But I remember that particular incident and thinking, fuck yeah. Like you're a proper player. You don't give a toss. You just want to get there and do your job.
And he had a proper engine. I mean, he was the first player of that sort of in that sort of era who had like, I remember he had an engine. Like he would run. He was all over the place. He really was here, there, every effing where, weren't he? He just literally was. Never stopped running. Gutted he didn't play enough for us, because I think he would have been, because I just think again.
Fair few weeks, didn't he?
Yeah, again we get these sort of 1-2 season wonders, and then that's it. You never see him again, and they go off somewhere in Italy or whatever, and then they reappear for like Watford, which he did before. It's like always the way, in it, like him and Diamanti as well, the same thing. And then they come back. Right, we'll put Val on in. Yeah, nice shout. Okay, we'll put Val in. Central midfielders. Let's go for your first one, Jim.
Parker.
Scotty P. Yeah.
And again, I think very much in the same way as sort of describes Jack, right? Just a committed professional. It was. I mean, the fire did come out occasionally, or mostly when we're fighting relegation. But I think most of the time he was a very level head on the pitch, and just again a leader. Never, not captain, but might as well have been captain. Commitment, professionalism, and dedicated. Like, I don't know. I feel like it kind of sounds weird, but it's like he was just committed to doing his job well.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It was almost like at times, because he didn't have a great team around him, to be honest. It was almost at times he thought, right, looking around, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. And literally would. It was almost he mentally pulled his socks up and he would literally come off that pitch crawling almost. He'd left, when they talk about leaving everything on the pitch, that was him. Like when he's going to go to Tottenham, that Tuesday night, he was playing away, wasn't he, at Watford or something like that, and he still put in a shift, and he could have got an injury.
That's exactly by the professionalism. He, like you say, he was going to go, but he's not going to stop doing his job. He's still being paid to do his job. So, and he's another one. I think it was his dad, wasn't it, who passed away, and he still went and played the next game, and I think he scored. Did he score a brace in that game? I think it might have been.
Possibly,
definitely scored one. And I mean, I know some West Ham fans will have this kind of weird ill will traitor syndrome with Parker for who he went to, which I think is absolute bollocks. Like, the bloke couldn't have done more for the club when he was there. It's not like Payet turning up for one season, playing really well, and then fucking us over. Like he for a long time he played really, really well. And like you said, often surrounded by players who he kind of had to drag them along with him. I've got nothing but respect for the bloke.
No, I mean, neither. And also I think I think it's his longevity at the club shouldn't be, or his sort of time at the club, it's sort of been lived through various other players. So obviously, when Scott was being Scott, he had Mark Noble as his deputy. And so there's no surprising that Mark Noble, and Mark does those little turns that Scott used to.
Every does a little turn. It's like, that's a Scotty turn, Scotty P turn.
Scotty turn. And I noticed the other day, Deck was doing a couple of Scotty turns. So it's almost like his circle of life thing. So it's like, hopefully a few more years with Deck, and there'll be another academy boy coming through who he can teach the Scotty turn to. But I don't think back as manager. I think he's doing a great job. He's doing a good job at Fulham. I just think it's a West Ham. He understands the club. A bit like Kevin Nolan. He understands the club, and I think managers come and go, but obviously players who make a difference, and he made a difference. 3 years, Ham of the Year 3 years in a row. Won the Footballers' Right Player of the Year. The season went down. When's that ever happened? You know what I mean? And I just thought he was brilliant. I did love him. You knew, again, when he was on the team sheet, you knew he was going to put a shift in. And it's just this weird thing that he went to another club to earn money and play in the Premier League. And how dare he want to play for England? And it's not like Trevor Brooking in the 80s. He went down and he stayed with us and played for England regularly. It doesn't happen nowadays. You've got to play in the top league, and footballers' careers are quite short. So earn as much money as you can. I'll get haters for that, but it's true. It's what it is.
Slightly off topic, but not. The movie Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Right. Nick Frost's character, the shit friend that holds his mate back. I feel like sometimes that's how football fans are. You want to be that shit friend who holds back someone that you claim to really care about. And I know it's a bit of a cliche, but if you love someone, sometimes you've got to let them go. And if they're that much of a good player for that many years, and you say, like, if they want to play Premier League football, is that too much to ask?
No, no, I don't think so at all. Right, Scott's in. Who's Scott going to partner in that middle?
So basically, he's polar opposite personality-wise. So I've gone for Kevin Nolan.
Oh yes, big fan of Kevin.
Kevin Nolan is a footballer who, until he signed for us, I absolutely hated with a passion. But that's the point. That is the point of Kevin Nolan. The point of Kevin Nolan is that you hate him unless he plays for your team. He is one of those people who is, he might be a bastard, but he's our bastard.
Exactly.
And all the things that he used to do that really pissed me off when he was playing for Bolton or Newcastle. When he was playing for us, I loved. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it when he'd get in a keeper's face. I loved it when the opposition fans would, boo him or whatever, and he'd smile. He's got that thing about, it's him and like Jermaine Defoe, players like that who love it. I hated, and he loved it. He loved to wind people up. I think it's just in his personality that he is a wind up merchant, and he doesn't take things too seriously. Therefore, he knows he can wind other people up, and they can't really get to him. Just everything that he did to piss off the opposition. This we don't get much to celebrate supporting West Ham. So like those little moments, those little cheeky moments where he used to do things like that, it was it brought a bit of joy to the game.
No,
but also knock the fact he was a fantastic captain. He was a complete leader on the pitch. He was in that way. He was an absolute professional as well, even though he was a piss taker.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, you're right. And he always had Christmas off, so fair play. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Funny how he used to get booked at that time.
Well, everyone knew it. It's like, but one thing that has surprised me about Kevin Nolan since he's got back is why hasn't Antonio done the chicken dance after he scored? It's made. I was thinking the hat trick. He should have gone over and done the chicken dance with Kevin on the. Why hasn't been done? I don't know if it's social distancing or what.
Everything else. So like, surely it's got to come up.
It's got to come up. I just saw
maybe like the other little Simpson thing he did, where he went around in circles on the floor. Maybe combine that with a chicken going around the floor.
I'll have to have a word with him. I'll have a word with him. I've got to get to him. It's made for it. I could even put, I don't know, the birdie song on for him for his celebration goal or something like, it's something like that. It's like it's got to happen. Right, put Kevin. And I mean, since he's come back. As part of as Moyes' number 2, I think it's a masterstroke because I think his personality. I don't think he's a good manager, but I think he's a great coach in terms of a motivator. You see the effect he has on. I remember that first game. That was it. I think was it the Southampton game? Was his first game as number 2, and he was up front and centre. Him and Moyes, and he just seemed a bit of.
This is why he's in the give a shit 11 because I think the reason they brought him back is because they probably want him to inspire that in our players to say, look, this is what you're playing for. This is why you're doing this, and you need to back your ideas up.
Yeah. No, I get that totally. No, yeah. Right, Kev's in. Up front, who's your first striker then, Jim?
Right, so I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to put someone up front who only recently started playing up front, and we just spoke about him, Mikel Antonio.
Yes, good shot.
You could put him anywhere. Really,
you could,
but
he's played everywhere, isn't it? So you might as well put him up front, yeah.
And I know it's cheeky because he's only just started playing up front, but squeezing him in there. Just a complete professional. And I love the fact that I was talking to someone the other day saying, people saying, we need to sign better players. I don't think we need to sign go out to the European market and try and sign the best players. I think we need to find the best players in local, sort of foot divisions, so like Championship mainly, who are going to punch up, right? So people come to us from other leagues. It's a sidestep, or it's a stepping stone. They've been sold a dream that when they get here, they realise, oh, hang on, this isn't it. Look at Payet, right? So after one season, complete lack of ambition and left. And to be honest, and he's another one I don't blame. But it's a player like Antonio, who for us sees us as a step up. We've had that with Cresswell as well. So you get players who push up, but he's seen it as a step up, but he's constantly fought to be better. So I think that who was it? Was it Victor Moses we had at the time and on loan, and Antonio couldn't get into the team?
Possibly, yeah.
I think it was him who was keeping him out. And then when he finally got played, we were like, "Whoa, who's this guy?" Like he's just been fantastic and got better and better. He seems to be getting fitter as he's getting older, which is crazy. But I'm really hoping that Moyes is going to do. A few people have already said this, right? I'm hoping Moyes is going to do to him what he did to Arnautovic and just transform him into out-and-out striker. Because what we saw on Saturday that is well, actually in the last couple of games is not very Antonio. Usually he'll be through on goal and he'll blast it straight over. His shooting hasn't been ideal. Like he'll do all the hard work. He'll just barge his way through 5 geezers and get there and somehow blast it into the sky. But the last few games he's been getting it just right. He's been getting it bang on target. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a Moyes thing or if it's a Nolan thing. I don't know. But I just feel like this might be a new dawn for him. This might be his new
it's always,
career.
The caveat with Antonio is always he's one run away from doing his hamstring. Do you know what I mean? Because he's like, and he did. I remember last season he was getting ahead of steam, 3 or 4 really good games in a row. Then he gets something happens and he's out, and he gets another good and he's back another few games, and you think he's really good. I think you're totally right in terms of the transfer strategy should be for next year. We've seen it with Bowen. You get these hungry. I mean, when we signed Bowen, I was just excited as when we signed Dean Ashton, because he was that young Championship, British player, step up Premier League, and I mean, Bowen's been a revelation. Similar with Souček, I mean, he's picked someone from. I mean, he's brilliant, isn't he? And he's picked someone from a relatively not. I mean, he's played Champions League football and stuff, but it's not one of the big 5, the big 5 leagues. And I think that's the blueprint. And he said, Antonio, I just want him to have a decent partner up front. I just want him to play with. I just want Haller to get his finger out and put his heart in it, because I think them two would be, with Bowen as well as a front 3, would be fucking unstoppable, honestly. But
Let's hope we get to see it.
Yeah, we hope we get to see it. We've got 3 more games and then we'll see what happens.
But Antonio definitely just workhorse, just works so hard. And I think that's because he's got that mentality of coming from the Championship. Well, you've seen his career right today. And I think he's now making the most of it and working his heart out. You don't work your heart out, do you? Sound like Louis Walsh. To be his very, very best. And maybe it's because I think he's 31, isn't he? So maybe he's saying, like, how many more seasons have I got? I need to make sure I absolutely go out of a bang.
Yeah, and he absolutely bosses the defense, whether he's bulldozers over them. Doesn't matter who they are. He's a walking muscle, isn't he? He's just hench.
You stand him next to Traore from Wolves, and from the shoulders they look basically more or less the same. And then you look at the legs, and Traore looks like he's got another man's legs on, because Antonio's a lot.
He don't miss leg day, does he, Antonio?
Oh, Jesus
it's
Christ.
like that Wolves game when Adam Traore got changed, and it's these muscles here when he had it's those ones. Traps. He had but I don't know what they call. Fuck it, look at me. Look at like I know what they call, Jim. Come on. But he had that, and he had a vest on, and I just went, oh my god, like this. It was just like this muscle man, and it was like Antonio is our muscle man. He's just massive, but he's a lovely guy as well. And he does so much for all the community stuff as well, and that's why. And again, a lot of that gets unnoticed as well, because we don't doesn't publicise it and stuff. But and I think you're right. It's his upbringing and where he's come from makes a massive difference, because you don't get like players nowadays who stay for 10 years anymore. You know, they're all like leave after 3. If you get 3 years out of a play, you've done well, haven't you? Really nowadays, particularly sort of the more foreign-based players. Right? Okay, let's put Antonio in. And who's the last piece of the Dolan puzzle?
Craig Bellamy.
Craig Bellamy. Oh, I say yes. This is
Imagine if Antonio was playing with Craig Bellamy right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what's there to say about Craig Bellamy? Apart from the fact he's played for basically everyone. I think, despite the fact he was this journeyman and he's moved around a bit, I just think again a committed professional, a guy who wants to be the best player he can be. He wants to put. You see lots of players with natural talent who don't do enough behind the scenes to look after themselves and don't take it seriously enough. Whether it be partying all the time or smoking and drinking all the rest of it. But Craig Bellamy just seems to me like a guy who just wants to be the best he can be.
Yeah.
And I don't think he wanted to leave us either. We'll never know for sure. But he signed that new contract, didn't he? He turned down the move, signed a new contract, and then they sold him anyway. But yeah, he always seemed like he worked hard for the club. Yeah. And I just felt like he wanted to be there. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking.
I agree. I think it, and again, when I use what should have been, it was going to be Bellamy and Ashton. What could have been,
right, Dean Ashton. He almost made it in just because he's Dean Ashton, but
yeah. But they would have been Arcotti and McAvenny. I really think so because they would have been perfect together as a two. And I mean, the stars were there, they just didn't align properly. Never.
So many should have beens for us and near misses. But yeah, I mean, for him, what Man City did there is actually probably similar to what I was just talking about for us, right? Except at the next level up. They got all that money in, they bought Rubinho or whatever. Instead of going around poaching all the big players, they made that one marquee signing and then went around to every other team and went, right, I'll have your best player, I'll have your best player, and then worked their way up like that. And Craig Bellamy was that best player. Like they took a guy who was clearly very talented and did a great job.
Yeah. No, exactly. And obviously that concludes the 11, the Give a Shit 11. Jim, it's been absolutely brilliant, man, chatting to you. I've really, really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time.
Well,
it's been great fun. And obviously, thanks to everyone for watching as well. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Again, humbled, I don't know, 7 or 8 weeks ago, when I thought, count this crazy idea. And now we've got 1,200 subscribers and over 100 guests. It's absolutely mental. And until next time, for me and Jim, take care, everybody. There's only one way to finish. Cover your irons, cover Jim. Take care, everyone. See you later and stay safe. Bye bye.